All right, next up is Sierra.
Um, Few were, and still are, able to imagine the wild figure of Fox Girl, but if you saw her, you'd recognize her even if you'd never heard of such a thing. For Fox Girl lived in a faraway town, Ivywood, hundreds of thousands of miles away from any large cities. Where she lived, the months of winter never came, and the incredible, unbelievable creatures roamed free. And here, in this world already beyond normal, lived Fox Girl, the one that many came to Ivywood to see. Fox Girl's appearance was unreal, stranger than the Siam wolves that managed to fly in the air with their magnificent wings, and stranger than the salmon-pink kittens that would spend their time leaping in and out of the many winding flowing rivers. Fox Girl, for one, looked absolutely anything but human. While she had several details that resembled a person, most of Fox Girl was elsewhere. She had electrifying shamrock green eyes that glowed especially in the darkness, while her vibrant amethyst purple hair that stretched to her toes was unignorable. A bushy, apricot-colored tail tinged with white hung between her long legs, and 2 ears, matching in appearance, stood always perked atop her head. Fox Girl dressed in lively hues which mirrored her animated personality. Fox Girl was one to watch, one to wait hours, days, months, years to see. Many say Ivywood is just a myth, told to put young children to sleep at night. But if you question me, I'll always say the same. No, Ivywood and Fox Girl aren't a legend. It's nothing but reality.
Sierra, very nice, very nice. So one thing you've done that's different is you have some descriptions of her kind of by talking about something else. Um, so she's stranger than the Siam wolves, stranger than the pink kittens. Um, she and that's really nice because it makes you think, well, what is this wolf? What is this kitten? And it implies this larger imaginative world, this larger imaginative space that we don't um, that we're just learning that we're just learning about and makes us wonder about more. Very good descriptions of colors, the shamrock green eyes, the color of the hair, um, and this, of course, you've unified the dress with her personality, the colorful person, lively hues, lovely good use of vocabulary, mirroring her personality. So you've got a nice integrated package there of this longer than life person who is also larger than life person who people think of as being mythical. She's got rumors about him. People come to see her, and even at the end, it sounds like you have people outside that world wondering about it, and you're saying, "But no, it's really real. It's not a legend. It's reality." And when you do that, then that causes, I think, the reader to again think, sort of reevaluate the whole story in a very good way. It's a story, even though it's so short, definitely worth rereading. So thank you, Sierra.
All right, next up is Sophie.
Hi, okay, so let me just get a thing. Right. Um, the part where she's like actually large in the life has not been written yet, unfortunately. But anyway, Alexi Beaumont had never really expected to actually meet Eva Acosta. Sure, she had entered a contest to meet her and won it, but all along she had suspected it was just a big scam. But still, here he was, waiting for the world-renowned singer and actress. Minutes turned into hours, and Alexi was about to leave when she saw a woman clad in sea green silk gliding towards her like a cloud. Alexi recognized the shape from videos, movies, songs, interviews, and a dozen more things. A sharp, angular face with bronze skin, brilliant green eyes, and short Priyanka-style hair. Alexi thought of her own pale skin, brown eyes, and long, messy hair of such a vibrant purple that sometimes she forgot that it wasn't a wig. Ah, you must be Alexi Johansson, said Eva, her Ecuadorian accent audible. I'm sorry I kept you waiting this long. The LAX was terribly slow. Alexi nodded, unable to believe that the entertainment industry queen before her. She nodded once again as Eva thanked her for meeting her there and suggested they meet up at Eva's mansion on the other side of the city next day. She watched the black limousine drive away and, for once in her life, had no idea what she was getting into. Then, line break. Alexi, I'm telling you, that woman is dangerous. Alexi sighed. Oh my God, Lissa, she's not dangerous. Lissa refused to give in. What don't you understand? The woman has a police file, for God's sake. Alexi rolled her eyes. Obviously, Sherlock, she's a celebrity. Do you have any idea how many mafia ties she's rumored to have? Anonymous has a literal voice recording of her talking to the Ndrangheta, and the police confirmed it was a fake. And as we know, the police can be very easily bribed, Lex. She has a net worth of $50 billion. She can afford to lose a couple thousand to shut them up and uphold her rep. Besides, how many times have the police force actually managed to do their jobs right? Ever heard of the Zodiac Killer? Hello? Alexi threw her hands up in the air. That was like a million years ago. That was in the 60s. 80 years ago. Lissa groaned and threw her head back, falling onto the pillows from her sitting position on the bed. Alexi would have described it as flopping. Fine, I can see I'm not going to convince you. But if you end up dead 6 feet under and none of us know, then expect a lot of I told you so, you stubborn idiot, and now you're dead. Blame it on yourselves. Alexi laughed. And I will accept them. I guess I won't have a choice, though, will I? Nope, you won't, said Lissa cheerfully. And that's all I got to write.
Okay, well, that was nice, Sophie. Very nice. Very complex. So since we
It
didn't,
sounded like actual arguing.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, it sounded like actual arguing, which means that your dialogue was very natural, and it's very hard to do that. That natural dialogue is really difficult, but it was very, very nice. Um, and again, you had, as I think a couple of the others, this discontinuity. Who was it? Was in the bed? The bloodshot-eyed computer genius teenager. You had this difference between how the person really looks and their media appearance, and
Yeah.
that's nice. And I think that's obviously something that writers haven't dealt with very much because all of this media appearance is so brand new in the way you're talking about it.
I inserted like the mafia thing because I recently learned that like Frank Sinatra was rumored to have like 40-year ties with the mafia.
Yes.
And I put in the Ndrangheta because they're from Calabria, which is where my dad is from. It's like the southern Italy region.
Yes.
So,
Famous
yeah.
mafia. Yes.
And they just so happen to also have an office, I believe, in Toronto, which is right near to where my mom is from, like 2 hours away.
Mhm, mhm,
So, yay, mafia, you
mhm.
know, mafia is in my nationality. Joyous, joyousness.
There's someone who walks his dog down my street with his wife, and it's just it's comic. It would be good for you guys. So he walks his dog, and he's got a slightly larger dog than the dog the wife walks. They're both small dogs, and then he's always walking a little bit ahead of her, and he teaches jazz at a local community college, and I don't know them except this has been going on for 20 years. So I do talk to them from time to time. And once, I don't know what came up, but something comes up with him. And he says that he's from a mafia family in New Jersey, a small mafia family. And, and that he has these ways, and that, back there they had ways of taking care of things that we don't here in Santa Cruz. But he wasn't
Mhm.
joking. He was like really upfront. Anyway, I don't want to take much time with my own digressions. It's nice, and you've got this sense that the character is dangerous. A good discussion. I like the reference back to the Zodiac Killer, and this thing with time where she says, that was ancient, a long, long time ago, and which it was, and yet it was never been solved, and so it's
But
still
actually, like the Zodiac code was solved by some like
someone just
people.
someone just deciphered one of the zodiac letters a few
Yeah.
weeks ago. That's correct.
No. Like I think like the whole code or something, at least one of them, and sent them to the San Francisco, like Bay Area, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there was just news that one of them was one of the things was just deciphered. I thought from
Yeah.
him, but it didn't provide any information.
Yeah.
Anyway, very nice, Sophie. Thank you very much.
So let's move on to Maddie K.
Okay. The big brown doors open wide as a clump of students pushes their way through the crowd. They're mostly normal, average kids, with the standard round faces, with average length blonde hair and round, average-sized green eyes. They are all of the average height of 5 feet and 1 inch. They all speak in the average volume expected of them. All except one. One girl with red hair that dances with the light as a flame does with the wind. With piercing gray eyes that seem to see through the building, the other children, and the trees. Taller than average, at 5 feet and 3 inches tall. Narrower eyes than the rest, and a darker, olive complexion compared to the average pale skin. She speaks louder than the rest when she has something to say, otherwise not at all. She is also smarter than the average intelligence, and partnered with her sharp eyes and ears, notices much more than average. As the other students are entering the building, their average green eyes staring straight ahead, her sharp gray ones are focused on the trees. While the other students' average ears are focused on the standard chatter of gossip, hers are focused on the strangely human chirps emanating from the leaves and the branches. The birds watch from the tree, concealed by the leaves, and observing the scene below, waiting for the children to enter the building. Average green eyes see only leaves. Gray ones see feathers, beaks, and fiery red eyes staring back at her. The girl brings her finger to her fiery red lips, warning the birds away from their all too human chirping. Then she turns around and strides with her longer than average legs into the building. Smoke rises in the trees with the bird's irritation at being left behind. His desire to protect the fiery red head from any harm was so strong that surely she could see it. His ashen gray feathers glow red at the edges, while his frustration grows at the edge of his mind. Then come the chirps, now sounding more like the average bird, reminding the observer of his location among the green leaves of the average tree. Catching himself on fire would not be a good idea. The bird let out an all too human sigh and flew to another branch, closer to the window where he could peek in at his most definitely not average friend. Most children in the school had an average name of Jonathan, or Rebecca, or Andrew, or Madeline. Average names with an average length. Unlike Pyra. Her name carries the same flame of her hair and her lips, and is far from standard. Unlike the other average children, she carries no surname. This drives her average teachers insane, her entire character being not like them. She stands out among the crowd, and it is instantly obvious whether or not she attends class. It wouldn't make a difference if she didn't. Pyra stands so high above her average class, she could teach it herself. She could probably teach it better than the teachers do. However high above average she is, though, none of her average classmates would ask her for help. They all fear her as plants fear fire. During her entire life, she was alone. She was alone, and she rose above it. She learned from her loneliness and held her head high, proud of who she was. But that small average part of her longed for friends, in any form. Those friends came in the form of phoenixes. Just as she had at the beginning of the day, she looked into the average trees, and her gray eyes and sharp ears caught something surprisingly not average. Instead of the small, average bluebirds, there were large, confident, and surprisingly human birds. Nobody else noticed them. Nobody else was looking. Pyra was surprised. She had thought that she was the only thing in this world that was not average. She had been treated like her not averageness made her not human, like her sharp gray eyes and fiery red hair made her an alien. In this case, they did the opposite. In this case, the gray eyes made contact with the fiery red ones of the flame bird. The two not average oddities saw each other, and Pyra smiled. The bird had smiled back, although the girl could not tell. Unlike the girl, the bird had not been alone. He had had the other flame birds as company, a whole flock of not average family, and that's as far as I got.
Well, that's an enormous amount to have just written, Maddie. I mean, wow, you are.
Excuse me.
Wait, Nova, I'm just starting to talk about Maddie's. You've had your turn. You have to wait. So anyway, I mean, what you've got here is vast. And it also, I'll say this is the first time I think that anyone's written something that is sort of a clear, I don't know, literary conceit, I think is maybe the right word for it, where you have something that, and you have sort of this idea of all these average, and you're talking about the average height, their average perceptions, sort of this sense of just a nameless human crowd that is where each person is fungible. Fungible means that you could trade one object for another. It's like $1 bill for another dollar bill. It doesn't matter to you. They're both dollar bills. They're the same. And here you have all of these students that are just the same, with this one exception. And we have her appearance, and what seems very exceptional about her, of course, is that she has this other sight, and clearly you're getting at some connection that she has with phoenixes, and maybe also firebirds, but with phoenixes. So maybe I'll just say that. I'm getting tired, so I'm getting less precise. But I liked. It was just sort of great that she's communicating on a different level than the others. She sees more. So thank you. I'm sorry. I'm getting tired, Maddie. Oh right. I like this thing about the loneliness. That the average thing in her did make her long for companionship, and I guess if we think back to the bright colored woman at the train platform, who's kind of separate from the whole crowd, everybody is looking at her, and maybe she's a little bit like that. Inside, she wants to break through, but she can't relate to those average people, and you have her now moving into this other world. So I look forward to the rest of it. So do keep writing, Maddie, so we find out what's happening. Should we go to the hour? So another 7 minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do that. Next up is Hera.
Amanda Isadora Valentine. No one ever had trouble pronouncing her name. She had wavy golden blonde hair, dark brown eyes with gold flecks that blazed like flames, lightly tanned skin, and a very smug smile that she constantly wore. She hated being called Amanda, as it was such a formal name. The name Amy fitted her much better. It was simple, like her. Every year around Valentine's Day, she played some sort of a prank. Last year, she had somehow painted 5 rooms red and black. Or the year before, she had rigged every door with multicolored confetti, so that when the teachers walked in, it splattered all over them. No one ever suspected that she was the cause of these pranks because of her last name, Valentine. She absolutely despised that name. Everybody thought that someone who had Valentine's last name loved Valentine's Day and would never do anything to destroy it. After all, every year on February 14th, she got loads of cards. Amy never took a look at them. Instead, she used the envelopes, glitter, candy wrappers, etc., for her next brink. You may be thinking that she was a hobbit, but she had friends. Amy did not like them, but she had them. They were especially useful for her to blame on her troublemaking skills. Her best friend was Bella Sophia Holly. She is very pretty, with slightly curly black hair and ice blue eyes. She is not afraid of anyone, anything or anyone. Her ice blue eyes piercing into everyone who whispered her name in fear, making them tremble under her stare. Every time Amy and her friends walked through the school halls, people stopped to stare at them. Amy did not know why. As Valentine's Day approached once again, Amy started paying more attention to the new students. There was a problem, you see. Her last name was Valentine, and since the new kids did not know her very well, they joked at her last name. And if Amy heard one of them whisper her name, she made sure to teach them a lesson that she made sure was never forgotten.
Okay, Hera. Nice. And I think what you've brought to this that's different is that part of the character is the name, and I think we should do a session on naming. But in this case, you have the irony that her name is Valentine, and so people think she's loving and loves Valentine's Day, of course. But in fact, that's not her personality at all. I also like it's separate from kind of describing her appearance, but this sense that she and her friends, when they walk together, they do form this sort of larger than life team within the school, and everyone stops and stares when they go by because they have some extra importance within the school. The description of the eyes was really nice at the beginning. And I think all throughout you guys' descriptions, the eyes have been important. And of course, they are obviously really important to us humans. The eyes are the window to the soul, people say. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, is Lindsay Gao
Except
still here?
Except in my thing, the fire and the ice block the window.
Yeah.
You don't actually see what she's like, you just judge her by her appearance. You don't really notice that she's nice. On the inside. Way deep down. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else?
Lindsay?
Lindsay Gao.
Okay, so if anyone had seen the girl,
So
they
wait,
would have laughed, thinking, "Ha! I could finish this girl off with a twist." For in the forest of shadows, the place of criminals, every corner was filled with hate and loathing, and no one was safe. She was very small and seemed normal until it became too late. She had dark hair and pale skin, and eyes that were very light blue. She was very strange, and no one could be sure if she was dangerous or not. She wore a long black dress that made her seem royal somehow. She wore a skirt too, which reached below the dress, making an impression of richness and grandeur. No one dared to go near her, not even the trained assassins, for they knew it would seal her fate. She could whirl around so fast you couldn't do anything, and then you would notice how her eyes were now the whitest white, and you would be shocked, for you had seen them as blue. She had a voice silky smooth and calm that made you wonder if there was anything more beautiful in the world, and then she would strike. Her eyes, as white as they were, always blazed with a cold fury, a fury of pain, heartbreak, and longing. She would stop the beast that killed her family. The creature did not know that its attack had let her grow into the person she was here in the forest, and now it was too late. For she, the enchantress, the girl it had hurt so long ago, was coming. That was
Okay,
it.
okay, Lindsay. It was a little hard for me to understand you. So I think for next week we need to work. We need to work on your setup. You need to work on your setup a little bit. So I didn't get absolutely everything there, but we did get a sense that I think with her, important in the description of this character who people fear is that the eye color changes. Is that right, Lindsay? It goes from blue to white.
Yeah.
Right. So again, that's something that nobody else has done, where we get the white eyes, and white eyes would be very scary because I think thinking back to what Nova said in her own story, that instead of the eyes being the window to the soul, that she'd shut their eyes so that you couldn't see in. I think that white eyes certainly suggest that they're shut, that we can't see in, which would make her very scary. And there was an aspect I couldn't quite understand again, Lindsay, but sounded interesting, where she, something happens to her towards the end that she grows into the person she is. Can you talk to us about that or reread that a little louder?
Yeah, so the creature did not know that its attack had let her grow into the person she was here in the forest, and now it was too late, for she, the enchantress, the girl it had hurt so long ago, was coming.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. Thank you. So here's something has happened and she's grown in to the person that she is. She's grown into this character, and that's nice to see some transformation take place in the story. So thank you, Lindsay. And that was easier to understand you this time. So next time, so you just need to work on your setup so we can hear better. Okay? Okay. Thanks a lot. I think that takes us to the hour. Thank you all today. I actually have thought of a different way we could do this same assignment. Does anyone have any comments about the assignment today? Any ways you think I could improve it, in your opinion? Any thoughts? No? Okay. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a good week. And I will not see you next Saturday. And the Saturday after is probably book club. I don't keep track super well, but I'm guessing. So it will be a couple weeks then, or 3 weeks before I see you
You'll
again.
see us. You'll see me and Sarah and Caleb probably.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye,
Thanks,
Matt.
everyone.